After refusing to babysit my stepsister's kids, my dad threatened to cut me off, leading to uncovered family secrets and strained ties. I'm Sophia, 28F, and I've been dealing with some family trouble recently. My parents split when I was 10, and it was not a good experience. My mother moved out, and I lived with my father for several years. It was only the two of us. We were close, and I assumed we told each other everything. But as I got older, I realized there were many things my father had withheld from me. When I was 16, my father introduced me to Linda, 50F. They had been dating for some time without informing me. I was hurt that he kept this a secret, but I attempted to be supportive. A few months later, they married, and Linda moved in with her daughter, Emma, 25F. The transition was difficult. I went from being an only child to suddenly having a stepsister, Emma, and I never really clicked. She was lively and outgoing, whereas I was more reserved. We were courteous to one another, but we never became close friends or anything like that. At 18, I moved out for college, relieved to get some space for my new family. I focused on my academics and met new people. After graduating, I found a job in the same city and decided to stay. I'd go see my father and Linda on holidays, but that was about it. Emma and I scarcely communicated, just exchanging birthday texts and attending family dinners when I was in town. Fast forward to today. Emma recently came to my city with her 27-year-old husband, Jake, and their two children, Liam, 4M, and Ava, 2F. Jake had accepted a new position at a technology startup, so they relocated here. Emma does not work. She's a stay-at-home mom. When they first moved, my father called and requested that I assist them in settling in. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I agreed. I took them around the city, helped them select a suitable neighborhood, and even helped with part of the relocation. I believed that would be the end of it, but I was mistaken. About a week later, Emma began visiting my apartment every evening with her children. She would ask me to look after them for an hour or two while she ran errands. Initially, I accepted because I wanted to be nice, but it soon became a daily occurrence. I work from home as a graphic designer, and while I was finished with work by the time she took the kids off, I value my alone time in the evening. I use that time to relax, work on personal projects, or socialize with friends. The kids are fine, but I'm not really a kid person. I don't know how to keep children entertained, and being around them always makes me nervous. I reminded Emma several times that she needed to hire a babysitter, but she always had an excuse. "It's just for today," she'd remark. I'm still getting used to the city. I started to suspect she was taking advantage of me. Last Friday, I had planned to go out with my friends to celebrate my best friend's promotion, which I had been looking forward to all week. I told Emma in the morning that I wouldn't be able to watch the kids that evening. She said, "Okay," and I assumed that was all. But at 6 p.m., just as I was about to leave, Emma arrived at my door with Liam and Ava. Before I could say anything, she handed me the kids and drove away. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I even called Jake, but he didn't respond either. I had to postpone my plans and stay at home with the kids. I was infuriated. Emma had ruined my plans before, but this was the first time she completely ignored my refusal to babysit. I was trapped with the kids until 9 p.m. when Emma arrived to pick them up. When she arrived, I confronted her about her behavior. She pretended it was no big deal and claimed she had an emergency. When I pressed her for more information, she was unclear and evasive. I warned her that this could not happen again and that she needed to hire a proper babysitter. Emma became enraged and said I was being selfish, arguing that families should help each other out. That's when I lost my temper. I told her that we were not really family. I explained that just because our parents married doesn't mean we had to be close. I reminded her that we had barely spoken in years before she moved here, and now she was acting as if we were best friends. I told her I was done babysitting and that she shouldn't bring the kids over unless invited. Emma left in tears. I felt awful, but also relieved that I had finally set a clear boundary. I thought that was the end of it, but I was mistaken. The next day, my father called me. He was upset and said Emma had contacted him crying, accusing him of being mean to her and the children. My father told me that I should apologize and continue babysitting for Emma. He said that this is what families do for each other. I tried to explain my side of the situation. I told him that Emma had repeatedly taken advantage of me, ruining my plans, and never respecting my time or boundaries. But my father wasn't listening. He kept emphasizing that I should be more understanding and helpful. Then, my father said something that deeply saddened me. He called me selfish and expressed disappointment in the person I had become. He said that Linda and Emma were now my family, and I needed to accept it. He even mentioned how distant I had been since he married Linda, hinting that I still harbored a grudge. I was shocked. I told him that they were his family, not mine, and that I was an adult capable of making my own decisions. I told him I had my own life and obligations, and I couldn't just drop everything to be Emma's on-call babysitter. This led to a heated argument, and my dad threatened to cut me off if I didn't apologize to Emma and resume babysitting. I felt hurt and enraged. I told him I was self-sufficient and didn't need his money. I also suggested that if he wanted to cut me off over this, perhaps we weren't as close as I had believed. My father ended the call by hanging up on me. Since then, Linda and other family members have messaged me, accusing me of being unfair. They suggest that I should be more empathetic to Emma's circumstances as a young mother in a new city. Some of my aunts have even called to say that I'm pulling the family apart. Emma hasn't contacted me directly, but she's been posting on social media about how families should always be there for one another. She's been tweeting quotes about the value of sisters and how blood doesn't determine family. It feels like she's trying to guilt trip me. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I really in the wrong here? I don't think it's fair for Emma to expect me to be a free babysitter anytime she wants, and I don't think my father should be threatening me over it. But I'm beginning to wonder whether I went too far in saying that Emma and Linda aren't my real family. Part of me feels guilty. Perhaps I could have been more patient with Emma. Perhaps I should have tried harder to connect with her when we were younger. But another part of me is angry and resentful. I feel like my thoughts and boundaries are not being respected. I've always treasured my freedom. After my parents divorced, I learned to rely on myself. I worked hard in school, received a college scholarship, and have established a successful career. I'm not used to having people rely on me in this way, and I'm not sure I want the responsibility. At the same time, I can't stop thinking about Liam and Ava. They're innocent in all of this, and I genuinely care about them. I don't want the kids to feel rejected or unwanted, but I also don't think it's good for them to have an aunt who dislikes babysitting them. I tried discussing this with some of my friends, but they seem divided. Some believe I'm being overly harsh and should try to work things out with Emma. Others believe that I'm right in setting boundaries and Emma is being entitled. I don't know what to do. Should I apologize? Should I stand my ground? I feel like the situation has spiraled out of control, and I'm not sure how to fix it. I don't want to lose my relationship with my father, but neither do I want to be taken advantage of. This whole scenario has caused me to question a lot about my family and myself. Am I really as selfish as my father claims? Have I been harboring bitterness over his remarriage without realizing it? Should I have worked harder to develop a relationship with Emma over the years? I keep thinking about how things might have turned out differently if my mother were still around. She relocated across the country after the divorce, and we don't communicate much anymore. I wonder what she would say about all of this. I'm at a loss. I believe that no matter what I do, someone will be upset with me. I want to do the right thing, but I don't know what that is anymore. Update. It's been almost 2 weeks since my last post, and things have only become more complicated. I'd like to thank everyone who responded and offered suggestions. It helped me see things more clearly. After reading the comments, I decided to stand my ground. I did not apologize to Emma or begin babysitting again, which created some strained family relations. My father stopped communicating with me completely, and Emma continued to post passive-aggressive messages on social media about false family members and the value of being present for nieces and nephews. The silence from my father has been especially difficult. We used to communicate at least once a week, but now there's nothing. I tried to convince myself that it was for the best and that I was creating good boundaries, but it still hurt. My stepmother Linda attempted to mediate the conflict. She contacted me several times, trying to get me to reconcile with Emma and my father. She said she understood where I was coming from, but emphasized that family values compromise. I appreciated her efforts, but I still felt like everyone was rejecting my emotions. I immersed myself in my profession, taking on extra freelance projects to take my mind off the family problems. I also started going to the gym more frequently and took up a new hobby, painting. It was soothing to create something beautiful in the midst of my life's craziness. However, something unexpected occurred last week that changed everything. I was in a neighborhood coffee shop working on a project when I overheard a familiar voice. It was Jake, Emma's husband. He was seated at a table with a woman I didn't recognize. At first, I assumed she was a work colleague, but then I noticed Jake reach across the table and take the woman's hand. They spoke in quiet tones and looked at each other in a way that indicated this wasn't a casual meeting. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. Jake was supposed to be at work, not having what appeared to be a romantic encounter with another woman. I sat there, frozen, unsure of what to do. Should I confront him? Should I snap a photo as proof? In the end, I did neither. I silently gathered my belongings and exited the coffee shop. When I got home, my thoughts were racing. I didn't confront Jake. I wasn't sure if I should tell Emma. Would she believe me? Our relationship was already fragile, and accusing her husband of infidelity might make things worse. I chose to sit with the information for a day and consider what to do. The next evening, Emma called me. I almost didn't respond, assuming it was another attempt to guilt me into babysitting, but something prompted me to pick up. Emma was in tears and asked if she could come over. I agreed, thinking that maybe she had found out about Jake. When she arrived, she was a complete wreck. Her eyes were red and puffy, and she looked like she hadn't slept for days. But it wasn't about Jake at all. Emma admitted that she had lied about running errands when she left the kids with me. She acknowledged that she had been seeing a therapist for postpartum depression and anxiety. Emma broke down while telling me her experience. She had been struggling since Ava's birth, feeling overwhelmed and inadequate as a mother. She hadn't told anyone in the family because she felt humiliated and terrified of being judged. She had left the kids with me during her therapy sessions. I was stunned. I felt a range of emotions: pity for Emma's situation, rage that she had deceived and taken advantage of me, and regret for how harshly I had judged her. I told Emma that while I understood she was going through a difficult time, it was unacceptable for her to lie and dump her children on me without any notice. We spoke for hours. Emma apologized for her behavior and for not being open about her issues. She promised to hire a proper babysitter for her therapy sessions. I told her that while I couldn't be a regular babysitter, I would be happy to help out on occasion if she gave me advance notice. As we talked, I began to view Emma in a new light. I learned that, despite her seemingly perfect life, she struggled just like everyone else. It made me reflect on how little I understood about her life and how quickly I had judged her. Emma also shared her feelings of loneliness after moving to the city. She told me she was thrilled to be closer to me, believing we could finally have the sisterly bond we never had. She said she had pushed too hard and too quickly and apologized for not respecting my boundaries. I also conveyed my own feelings. I told her how I had felt left out after Dad remarried and how I had struggled to fit into our new family dynamic. We chatted about our childhood, sharing recollections and opinions we had never discussed before. Just as we were beginning to rebuild our relationship, I was faced with a decision of whether to tell Emma about what I had witnessed with Jake. I debated it, but in the end, I chose to be honest with her. I gently informed her about what I had seen in the coffee shop. Emma's response wasn't what I expected. She didn't seem shocked or outraged. Instead, she became very quiet before saying, "I know about Jake's meetings." It turns out that the woman Jake had been meeting was his half-sister. Jake was adopted as a baby and had recently discovered his biological family. He had been meeting with his half-sister in secret because he wasn't ready to tell Emma or the rest of the family. He was concerned about how it may affect their family relationships, particularly with his adoptive parents. I was relieved Jake wasn't cheating, but I was also frustrated by our family's lack of transparency. I told Emma that all of this, her treatment of Jake, his secret meetings, could have been avoided if everyone had simply been honest from the start. Emma agreed and said she'd speak with Jake about being more open with the family. She also pledged to be more open with me in the future. We concluded the evening on a brighter note than we had in weeks. The next day, I called my father. I informed him about Emma's troubles and how we had worked things out. I also told him that while I was willing to have a relationship with Emma and occasionally help out with the kids, my limits needed to be respected. To my amazement, my father was understanding. He apologized for his reaction and acknowledged that he had put too much pressure on me. We promised to improve our communication and respect each other's boundaries more. We also talked about the past, including how his remarriage affected me and how we had grown apart over time. It was a challenging conversation, but it seemed like we were finally confronting topics we had been ignoring for too long. Things have calmed down, but I still feel like I'm walking on eggshells. There are numerous secrets and unspoken concerns in our family. I'm glad Emma and I were able to sort things out, but I have a feeling there will be more trouble ahead. I'm trying to stay positive, but I'm also bracing myself for what might happen next. This entire experience has made me realize how little I knew about my family members. It's made me ponder what other mysteries lie beneath the surface. For the time being, I'm working on gradually restoring my connections with Emma and my father. It's not easy, and there are still periods of tension, but it seems like we're headed in the right direction. I'm discovering that family relationships are complicated and communication and honesty are essential. I'm also trying to strike a balance between being present for my family and preserving my own boundaries. It's a work in progress, but I'm hopeful that we can be family without compromising our distinct wants and identities. Update 2. It has been approximately a month since my last post, and I wish I could say that things have improved, but they have not. In fact, things have gotten a lot worse. Remember how I started to feel like more drama was about to unfold? Well, I was right, but I could never have predicted what happened next. Emma called me last week, frantic and in tears, hardly intelligible. When I calmed her down, she informed me that she had received some horrible news. Jake hasn't just met his half-sister, he's had an affair with her. Emma grew suspicious of Jake's numerous meetings and decided to follow him one day. She noticed him meeting the woman at a hotel, rather than their usual coffee shop. She confronted him, and he confessed to the affair. He tried to excuse it by claiming that he felt a connection with his half-sister that he had never felt before. But Emma was understandably appalled and devastated. I was shocked. I felt bad for not pressing harder when I initially saw Jake with the woman. I attempted to console Emma as best I could over the phone, but she was devastated. She explained that she was leaving Jake and asked if she and the kids could stay with me for a while. Despite our previous disagreements, I couldn't turn her away in her time of need. I agreed to let them stay. Emma and the kids moved in with me the next day. It's been a tough transition. My flat isn't really designed for two young children, and Emma is still emotionally fragile. She alternates between tears and aggressive outbursts. I'm trying to be supportive, but it's taking its toll on me. To make matters worse, Jake has been bombarding Emma with phone calls and messages. He's even shown up at my flat several times, causing a scene in the hallway. I had to threaten to call the police to get him to leave. It's been distressing for everyone, especially the children, who don't understand what's going on. Another explosive situation unfolded amidst all the chaos. My father called me, sounding anxious. He said he needed to tell me something important and asked if he could come over. When he arrived, he dropped a bombshell that shocked me to the core. It turns out Jake's half-sister is also my half-sister. My father admitted to having a brief romance with Jake's biological mother years ago, before meeting my stepmother. This woman gave birth to a daughter, who Jake has been having an affair with. I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My father had kept the secret for nearly 30 years. He said he only found out recently when Jake's half-sister took a DNA test, which matched some of our family members. My father contacted her and learned the truth. I felt as if my entire universe was crumbling. Everything I thought I knew about my family was a lie. I was angry with my father for keeping the secret, angry with Jake for betraying me, and angry at myself for failing to anticipate any of this. I haven't told Emma about the recent revelation yet. She's already coping with so much, and I'm worried this might push her over the edge. But I know I'm going to have to tell her someday. The past several days have been a blur. I've been trying to keep things as normal as possible for the kids, while simultaneously supporting Emma and dealing with my own thoughts about this new sister. I've taken some time off work to handle everything, but I'm not sure how long I can keep this up. I'm at a loss about what to do next. My flat has become a refuge for my sister and her children, a safe haven from her cheating husband, and it now feels like the center of a decades-long family scandal. I'm trying to keep everything together, but I feel like I'm drowning in secrets and lies. I'm not sure how our family will ever heal from this. The trust has been damaged, and I'm not sure it can be repaired. I'm thinking about going to therapy to deal with all of this, but for the time being, I'm just taking it day by day. I've tried to contact some friends for help, but it's difficult to explain the situation without sounding like I'm making it up. How do you explain that your brother-in-law is having an affair with your hidden half-sister? It sounds like something out of a soap opera. I'm also concerned about the long-term ramifications of all this. What will happen to Emma and the children? Will Jake seek custody? And what about my half-sister? Should I try to reach out to her? Do I really want to know her, given the circumstances? It's also worth considering how this may affect my relationship with my father. I'm upset that he kept this secret for so long, but I understand he was probably terrified and ashamed. Even so, knowing what he did makes it difficult to look at him the same way. For the time being, my primary focus is on Emma and the children. Despite the volatility, I'm trying to provide a stable environment for them. It's not simple, but it feels like the right thing to do. I'm also trying to care for myself. I've started journaling to help process my emotions, and I'm making an effort to do something I enjoy every day, even if it's something as simple as reading a book or going for a walk. I know I'll have to make some important decisions soon about Emma's situation, my relationship with my father, and whether or not to contact my half-sister. But for now, I'm just trying to get through each day. If anyone has been through something similar and has any suggestions, I'd be grateful. This entire situation is daunting, and I could use all the help I can get. Update 3. It's been about 3 months since my last update, and much has changed. After the shock of the discovery subsided, we had to cope with the aftermath. I eventually told Emma that Jake's affair partner is our half-sister. She was devastated all over again, but it also provided her with the closure she had been seeking. She filed for divorce and received a restraining order against Jake. The legal process has been messy, but Emma is standing firm. Emma and her children stayed with me for about a month before she found a small apartment of her own. She began working part-time at a local bookstore and is slowly rebuilding her life. This experience has actually brought us closer together. I still help out with the kids occasionally, but only on my terms, and she respects my boundaries. We haven't contacted our recently discovered half-sister. We're not ready for that yet, and I'm not sure we ever will be. The circumstances surrounding her existence, as well as her involvement with Jake, make it difficult to consider having a relationship with her. My relationship with my father has been strained. I was upset with him for keeping such a significant secret for so long. We've had several lengthy, painful discussions on trust, honesty, and the consequences of his decisions. He's been seeing a therapist to deal with his shame and to learn how to rebuild trust with his family. It's a slow process, but we're making progress. I've also started seeing a therapist to deal with all my inner struggles. It's helped me work through my feelings and set healthy boundaries. I'm learning that it's okay to prioritize my own mental health and well-being, even when family members are in crisis. One unexpected result of all this is that I've reconnected with my mother. After everything came to light, I reached out to her because I needed someone to talk to who wasn't personally involved in the situation. We've had some wonderful conversations, and she's been a source of comfort throughout this. We're working on restoring our relationship, and it's been great to have her back in my life. I've also made some major changes in my own life. I decided to take a sabbatical and travel. I needed to step away from all the family drama and rediscover myself. I'm writing this update from a small cafe in Europe, where I've spent the last month. This distance has helped me gain perspective. I've come to realize that, while family is important, it's not everything. People who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries and will not pressure you to sacrifice your ideals or well-being. I don't know what the future holds for my family. The lost trust will take a long time to recover, if at all. But right now, I'm focusing on myself, healing and growing. I'm learning to define family on my own terms and surround myself with people who bring happiness into my life. Emma and I still communicate regularly. She's doing better now, focusing on her children and her new career. The divorce proceedings are ongoing, but she's managing them with a strength I didn't know she had. We're planning a trip with the kids next summer, something to look forward to. Jake, as far as I know, has left the city. His affair with our half-sister ended badly, and he's been trying to reconcile with his adoptive family. I don't know all the details, and honestly, I don't want to. My father and I are slowly restoring our relationship. We talk once a week, and while things haven't returned to normal, they're improving. He's trying to be more open and honest, not just with me, but with everyone in the family. This whole experience has taught me a lot about resilience, forgiveness, and the value of honesty. It's also taught me that it's never too late to set boundaries and prioritize your own well-being. Thank you to everyone who's followed my story and offered advice along the way. Your support has meant more than you realize. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that life can surprise you in ways you never expected. All we can do is strive to approach each day with honesty, courage, and self-respect. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit notification bell to stay updated.